Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. Hope everybody had a fantastic 4th of July weekend. Tyson and I took a little bit of time off, but the NBA came hot and heavy here. And so what we're going to do, we're going to dive into some of the most notable NBA offseason moves that happened in the early window here, kind of round things up at the end. Before we dive into that, Tyson, with some of the big topics we have circled, guys, if you're listening to this or watching on YouTube, smash that like button. If you're listening, 5 stars, stay subscribed, all that 9 yards. We'll tell you more at the end. But Tyson, how was your 4th of July weekend before we dive in here?
It was good. It was pretty quiet. Just a little, R&R. That's it was fireworks and barbecues and all that stuff, obviously. But 3-day weekend, it's nice. It's like 100 degrees here, which is hot for us. You're out in Arizona, so I imagine you were cooking too.
Oh man, 110, no grilling. My dad did some seafood things, so I went over to their place. It was good, man. It was a good time.
No fireworks?
No fireworks, none. It was nice. I'm not I'm not a big fireworks guy. Maybe I'll get back into it, but I feel like you get to that point where you love fireworks and you're like kind of off them. I'm off the fireworks right now.
You're off the fireworks, dude. Put that on I'll put that on my phone. So July 9th, 2025, Brad is off the fireworks. That'll go right next to the note, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going to remind you of. Brad said, was it Duke is you're out on Duke. You're not going to be emotionally invested in Duke. So we have 2 things for next year to catch him on.
I love it. We'll see how I'm feeling when we enter March Madness. But let's dive into the first one here because I think, Tyson, this was the most notable thing. It's that the Celtics are kind of cleaning house a little bit, at least getting in preparation. We know Jason Tatum has the Achilles tear, probably not going to play 2025, 2026 season. So what do? They trade Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. Now, the Porzingis deal is traded. They trade Kristaps Porzingis to the Hawks. They also get a 2020 second-round pick from the Celtics. The Celtics get back George Niang, a 2031 second-round pick, cash considerations. And the Nets find their way in there. They get Terrence Mann and Drake Powell, which is pretty interesting. Now, the Jrue Holiday one was a little bit more like for like because the Blazers got Jrue Holiday back. The Celtics got back Anthony Simons, which is interesting. So when you see these moves in congruence here, what's your thoughts about the Boston Celtics?
Well, it's just that the second apron is scary to everybody. I think Tatum is obviously donezo most likely for next season with the Achilles. So, they have to get under the second apron. They're not going to compete. That's the feeling that Brad Stevens has, and this guy's right all the time. Apparently, I think it was Windhorst or one of those guys today said that don't be surprised. Like it sounds like they're trying to move off of Simons already or find a trade partner to flip, but that's going to be a hard guy to move. I think. I don't know what his market is because I think Portland's also been looking for a way to flip Anthony Simons for a while, and they decided, you know what, it might be easier to trade Jrue Holiday, and that's where this ended up. But for the Hawks, dude, I think we got to do it. I think we got to place it.
I know, man. And here's the other thing here. Hawks signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a sign and trade. And Tyson and I were texting each other, and we're like, the Hawks kind of seem buttoned up, man. Like, is it time for us to take a shot on them for Eastern Conference champions? And we're going to kind of talk about this in congruence because the Celtics are clearly taking a step back. And I didn't hear that Simons thing, which would be interesting because if I look at it, that's kind of like a nice bridge, if you keep Jaylen Brown, if you're the Celtics. But it's not enough that I'm going to say, oh, they're still the favorites to win and reach the NBA Finals like they have in the last couple of years. So if we're looking around the Eastern Conference landscape, Tyson, they get Nickeil Alexander-Walker, give him a 4-year deal, and that's not anything to move the needle necessarily, but you get Porzingis, however long he's healthy. You add some wing depth. You already have Trae Young, and you have a good draft, and we're kind of looking around like, well, there's not really any bully per se in the Eastern Conference, and this is a team that's had pedigree in the past with their star who's brought them to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'm with you here, man. Like, we were texting about this. It feels like the Atlanta Hawks have a wide open shot here in the East.
Yeah, we're going to start the show with one of those. We're going to close the show with one of those. I had to look it up to make sure I didn't misspeak. But, yeah, that was Windhorst. Earlier today said he's talked to a number of teams that said the Celtics are actively trying to move Simons. Whether they can or not is another thing he adds at the end, which makes plenty of sense to me. I mean, I think that's the contract that'll get them all the way under the second apron. Then you don't have to worry about it. Also, shout out to the Nets for finding their way in here and using all 5 draft picks.
Oh, I know. It's so ridiculous. Well, we'll see how that works here. Tyson, the other one people are talking about, Lakers signed Deandre Ayton to a 2-year deal. And he gets bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers. He goes to Lakers. People are predicting this. I'm torn on this one. Now, you know, I've had a pretty good read on the Lakers, and like everybody's pretty high on them, and I've been right the entire time.
It's because you've been a hater, dude.
But I've been right. And now, if they're good, now I'm sitting here with looking at Ayton, I'm looking at Luka, I'm looking at LeBron, and if they're able to keep Austin Reeves, if they're able to keep some guys, bring back some other people who can play some wing defense, this is a legit team here. But DeAndre Ayton's not a great defender. Luka's not a great defender. LeBron at his age, I don't care what they say online, is not a great defender. That's where I'm kind of held up here. Now, they get the size from Ayton. So you have that you didn't have like when you got embarrassed by the Timberwolves. But what do you think about this? Is this a step in the right direction for the Lakers? Are they grasping at straws with Ayton? You've seen him. You're a Suns fan. What's your take on this move?
All right, so forget the center's name that they just signed, and then just talk yourself into the fact that there's no centers on the market, and the Lakers had to pay $3 million to get a 7-footer that was the number 1 draft pick like 6 years ago, and has been in the NBA the whole time. This isn't a Kwame Brown situation or something like that. Like, I'm not a DeAndre Ayton fan, but I don't understand like the hatred from that perspective, where it's like, what else do you want the Lakers to do? They've been trying to get a center. Mark Williams failed the physical. They go out, they have no money. For some reason, hypothetical LeBron trades were like the leading headline of every sports website for the last week because we have to talk about these guys. But then they sign Ayton, and it's like, I don't know if it's going to work. He's going to want to get paid. And so to me, that's a motivated DeAndre Ayton is when he's at his best, obviously. But, does that look like 30 points and 10 dunks against the Phoenix Suns and then 4 points the night afterwards against the Hawks or whoever else? Because we've seen that from him in the past. I don't know. He's not going to be locked in for 82 of these things. Like, he's just not. And I think that's kind of where you run into issues. But, dude, he's going to catch a ton of lobs. All he's got to do is set screen. He's got to be Clint Capella. And this thing is a smash if you're the Los Angeles Lakers for the investment. And then if you're DeAndre Ayton, you got to trick somebody else into giving you a bag. I think there's a win-win here.
He's in a good situation, right? Like, obviously, the Blazers thing didn't work out. Now he's going to go play with Luka. He's always
been in a good situation, though, is the thing.
That's a good point.
Like, that's the thing. And it's like, oh, we wait for this guy to become a superstar. Take those expectations off of him and treat him like a $3 million free agent big man, and you're happy.
Well, I think that's the issue too, because the Lakers are looking at him like he's going to solve the problem. We would have beat the Timberwolves if we had Ayton last year. And it's like, I don't know if he's that player, and you and I kind of both know that. Now, if at this stage in his career, can he become the guy that gets the Lakers to the top? Probably not. But if he's going to be a 20-8 guy, is going to rebound, if he's going to score from the inside, combined with Luka, and if LeBron can keep turning the clock back. That's a formidable team there, and at least enough to compete in the West. I don't know if it's enough to win the West, but that's better than what you've had. If Ayton stinks and LeBron takes a step back and Luka, looks like he's going to come into shape, but we'll see kind of in season stuff. Then we're going to have a problem with the Lakers. But I'm with you. They had to sign a big man, and Ayton was the best one on the market.
Dude, content-wise, for everybody, this is going to be. It's like the 3 guys with the worst body language in the NBA teaming up with each other. Like, when they quit in games this year, you're going to be able to know with the Lakers, man.
How about the Bucks make an interesting move here? So they waived Damian Lillard, which got a ton of attention. Now, obviously, he tore his Achilles, and so he's going to miss 25-26. And then they signed Myles Turner away from the Indiana Pacers for a massive 4-year, $108.9 million deal, which is more than they got, more than it was reported initially, Tyson. So I don't know where this extra money came from. But I think on the Lillard thing, this is a good move by the Bucks. That there's some stuff that's coming out that Damian Lillard's family didn't quite adjust to him moving to Milwaukee as well, and so the family situation, and Lillard this wasn't working out in Milwaukee, so he gets cut while he's not going to be able to play. When he comes back, if he's going to play again, then he's going to have the pick of where he wants to play, whether it's close to his family, whether it's an ideal situation, whatever have you. So I didn't think too much of that. Besides, that's a good organizational move to do that for a legendary player in this era of basketball. The Myles Turner thing, Tyson, what are we doing here? So I'm going to toss this over to you. This surprised me, but I'm curious your take on this situation.
Well, with the Lillard thing, at first it was like, you kind of forget sometimes that NBA teams can stretch these contracts, and it's like, holy smokes. And at first, you're I always like when a general manager or front office doesn't like buy into the sunk cost fallacy, and they're like, hey, we messed up. We got to get off this thing in the most efficient way that we can. So I'm okay with that part. But then to turn around, and do this with Myles Turner, Brett, does this make any sense? The idea of Myles Turner is worth, that contract. But the player that Myles Turner isn't. Like every trade deadline, Myles Turner's name is floated as a floor spacing, shot blocking big, which he is. And then, we see it. How many turnovers does this guy have in the playoffs? Like, that's $100 million.
Well, and it doesn't play like a big. That's the other thing, too. He's on the perimeter, and he wants to sit out there and shoot threes. And it's not like he's an elite rebounder for doing that either. Like, Wembanyama at least will go get some rebounds. Like he's going to play on the perimeter, and he's going to go get the boards. This signals to me, though, that the Bucks, they're looking at the East, too, and they're like, wait a minute. We got Giannis. Yeah, we got Giannis. Let's at least go add a piece. Because if Giannis is getting downhill and Myles Turner actually is going to be able to he doesn't need the rebound because Giannis is there, and he's going to be able to sit on the perimeter because Giannis is there. This actually might be the best situation for him. And I think if the Bucks are looking at that, they're like, listen, we know we're overpaying, but if we can just get another guy who can score, if we can just get another guy who's got size, then we can kind of figure out the guards from here. So I can see it from that perspective. It's a ton of money.
You're just so strapped cash-wise going forward that it's like, how are you going to fill that? You better hit home runs with these draft picks, or you better you better get Chris Paul on the phone and be like, hey, dude, you can start for us. Like, you can come over here and play all 82 just like you did something. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do because you're probably right. They probably did look around the East and was like, okay, Orlando's going to be good. Atlanta's going to be good. Everybody else got worse. Like we have the best player. That's true. I mean, just wait till opening night and when all 5 ACLs explode at the same time.
I know.
I didn't mean to put that evil on you. I'm sorry, but I think the Bucks are screwed. Like at the end of the day, I don't think that this is going to win a championship, and it might end up, making Giannis have to make some interesting life decisions, legacy decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're in the East right now, is anybody coming out of the East that you can say can actually win as we look on paper right now, the NBA Finals? Because I think if you're operating in that manner, perhaps it's not. But if you're like, well, we can just win the East and we'll go to a 7-game set. I mean, we just saw the Pacers take the juggernaut Thunder to 7.
The best player in the world is how they feel.
Right. So, and you don't think it's going to work. I'm curious. I think there's a better chance it works. And maybe, I've always been a bigger Myles Turner fan than you, I believe. And I'm surprised, though, because you love Giannis. And it feels like I've been more positive on the Bucks recently. I think you just want him to come to Phoenix.
I mean, at this point, I don't know where Phoenix is going to get the money. Maybe, HBO sells another business or something, or fraud.
Put some pressure on him and get some over there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's just a little bit of fraud.
That's it. All right. Nuggets trade Michael Porter Jr. and they acquire Cam Johnson from the Nets in this deal. This is fascinating to me. I think there's a lot of ways we can dive into this. Let's just look on the surface level first. The Nuggets get Cam Johnson back. They gave up Michael Porter Jr. and their 2032 first rounder to get MPJ out of the locker room. It's pretty surprising considering how he was viewed coming off that championship team. And where they're at now with the lack of defense and, the kind of the aloofness that Michael Porter Jr. possesses. And now the Nuggets are going in a completely different direction with this new regime saying, no, give us Cam Johnson. So we'll talk. I kind of want to get into the meta stuff in a little bit. But what do you think about this trade just 1-for-1 here?
Is it worth a pick 7 years in the future to save yourself $17 million a season for a guy who does the same things as the guy you traded but also tries harder?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Like, this is. I think the Nuggets smashed this thing. Like, we love Michael Porter Jr. And dude, he's gonna shoot 140 times a game.
Him and Cam Thomas.
Dude, they're gonna hate each other by like game 6. It's gonna be fantastic. But this is like, dude, Cam Johnson is like everything that the Denver Nuggets have wanted Michael Porter Jr. to be. Because we're watching this and we're like, we remember when he was the best player in high school, and that's where you and I's heads are at. Is like, no, we want that Michael Porter Jr. Let him put the ball up every time. The Denver Nuggets are like, just do your job, and I think that is kind of wore thin at $40 million a year, especially. And like, people think Cam Johnson's like 26. Like he's probably
right.
not going to get another contract after this one from the Nuggets. He'll play in the NBA longer, but he's not. With the way the cap's going, he might touch 20 mil again. I don't want to say that, but he's like 31, and he's going to come in and want to win. Like I think that this is a home run for the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets have done really well this entire offseason.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because there was a rumor, Kroenke, who owns the Nuggets, is a Mizzou guy, and Michael Porter Jr. played there, and like a lot of people are like, well, you got to trade Michael Porter Jr. It's just it has to happen, and a lot of people were saying it's not going to happen because he doesn't want to trade a Mizzou guy. So
Michael Porter Jr. played like 11 games,
right? Because he got the back injury and stuff. But which was interesting, and I didn't know how much I bought into it. And of course, you got this coming in. But Kroenke, he feels a little bit more hands on than people are letting on. Like I think he's known. He's not Jerry Jones level, but I think he is involved in the sports franchises. Tyson, this new regime to me, it's easy when you come in and you're the new guy and you can start firing people because you don't have those relationships. You haven't been out to the bar. You don't go out and you don't hear about the bridal shower. You hear about all this stuff. You come in and you say, who's doing their job? Who's expendable? Who can we get rid of? And that's easier to cut weight. I think the Nuggets needed that. And they said, listen, we had great championship stuff. It would have been hard for the past regime to say, sorry, guys, we're going to go in a different direction here. Somebody else had to do the dirty work and coming in and say, no, we're doing the right thing. Bringing in Cam Johnson is the great first step. We talked about the offseason they've had far.
Bringing him back.
Bruce Brown bringing him back. And, Ryan Brown, who has been emerged into an elite player, I think, off the bench for him. This right now is looking like a team that can compete in the West more so than they have been in a couple of years because, everything was just so Jokic, and you need Murray. At least there's some other pieces around that's looking like the Nuggets in the past when you had depth.
I think everybody else in the NBA is mad that the Nuggets got to upgrade and get under the tax, and everyone else is having to chop off their left hand to try to get under the tax. This is huge.
I said Ryan Braun. I meant Christian Braun. I apologize for that. I got baseball in my mind here, folks. How about another interesting trade? So a 3-teamer between the Heat, the Clippers, and the Jazz, and Norman Powell, who was in Six-Man of the Year conversations, gets shipped out by the Clippers to the Heat. The Clippers get back John Collins. This is from the Jazz. And then the Jazz get Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, a 2027 second-round pick. A lot of speculation. This is some financial things for the Jazz. They're going to try to stretch some stuff. They're going to try to clear. They're going to do whatever. They're going to position themselves. It's Danny Ainge. So whatever they got going over there. I'm looking at this as the Heat wanted to get Norman Powell. The Clippers are ready to give him up, and they wanted John Collins back in return, and they got him from the Jazz in the situation here. What do you think about that for both those teams and both those angles?
I think for those teams, this is fine. This one is it's crazy to me that was John Collins' like ultimate market. If you're the Utah Jazz, was essentially a second-round pick because it's not going to be Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson when the ball tips at the beginning of the season. So that part was interesting. I think if you're the Clippers, you're happy. If you're the Heat, you're happy. And if you're the Jazz, you're confused. Dude, Danny Ainge's kid came and he's like, the reason I took no more tanking. Tanking is done. First move is like the craziest tank trade of the summer. I mean, this is like 2 guys on AARP and a second-round pick. That some of these trades in the NBA right now, it's like that John Collins was a second-round pick.
I just don't. If I'm looking at the Clippers,
and they're getting off salary, so it's like, what is it? A half a second? You got the, value-wise, it's right. Just not great.
It's an interesting move here, and I'm looking at it more from the Clippers. I think if you're the Heat and you look at the East, let's say you got Tyler Hero, you got Bam, although he's kind of in some rumors here. You go get a guy who can score, and the Heat just can't score, so you go get a guy who flat out can. That's a huge plus for them. I'm looking at this with the Clippers. You get up a guard who can go and score with a roster who James Harden re-signed, but what's he going to look like? We have no idea coming in for a season by season basis, even a week by week, month by month basis. Kawhi Leonard, are we going to count on his health? So you get rid of a guy who can score. What happens if Harden stinks and Leonard's hurt? Like you're in a complete mess because John Collins ain't carrying you. So I just don't know their strategy.
6'9", big, athletic. Los Angeles Clippers. Like that's where they all go. That's the point. Ballmer has a type, dude. He's telling everybody in the building, hey, if this guy can jump out, I don't care if he can play. If he's 6'9" and can jump out the gym, put him on my basketball team.
Are they hoping he's the next Blake Griffin or Blake Griffin light?
lighter than Blake Griffin's probably like Chet Holmgren. That was a great joke.
I liked it. He got paid too, man. My goodness.
Paulo getting the max makes perfect. You have to do this, so like I understand it, but like at a certain point, these NBA general managers just got to stand up for themselves and be like, no, the max is reserved for like 7 guys. Like you're not one of those 7 guys, brother. But there's all like escalators if you make first team All NBA. These kind of things. It's all we don't know the full extent of like the money, but it's a lot of dough to give up to a kid that might break in half.
That's the thing too. It's not like in the NFL, if you can get ahead of it because the next contract is going to do this and that. Like it's like kind of like, all right, you reach this level, you're going to get paid that. So I know it's
$200 million.
It's crazy, and we'll see, man. The second apron is going to come for the Thunder eventually, but that's for a different day here. Getting to our last notable move. This is our second to last one. Lonzo Ball gets traded to the Cavaliers. The Bulls get back Isaac Okoro, 1-for-1 swap. I don't know, man. It just what's going on with the Cavs? It feels like they're in prime position to be right there again, but they're shopping Darius Garland. Do they view Lonzo Ball as a replacement? Are they going to be able to trade Garland and then get Ball? Are they going to be able to trust Ball? Is he going to fit there? That's what I'm not sure about. But Okoro getting off of him and getting Lonzo Ball, I mean, that's a smash. You already got DeAndre Hunter, you got wing depth, and you're going to get a guy who's a high upside guard. I like this for the Cavs.
Yeah, I think I like it too. And if Lonzo Ball can just get to the guy that's, 11, 7, and 5, like you're so pumped in 30 minutes or whatever. You're so pumped if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dude, Isaac Okoro, he started like a handful of games for them in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. And he played in like all of them. So he's probably like, what the fuck? You guys took me 5th in 2020. You buried me under a bunch of wings. And we don't know if Isaac Okoro can really play. I think we're about to find out, in this trade. He's going to go to the Bulls. They're going to need him. He needs to be the guy he was from Auburn. But Lonzo Ball deserves to be on a winning basketball team, I think. He just plays winning basketball, so I'm pretty excited.
I want to see him be healthy. I want to see him play well. And, Lonzo Ball, obviously the injuries derailed his career, but, if he doesn't have to be the guy, he doesn't have to carry things. You got Mitchell and you got Mobley. That could be a fun team with him running the show, especially if he's going to be able to pass all those guys. So, yeah, I'm curious. I hope he's able to stay on the floor. Tyson, last one here. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about the East is all, and I was running through mental calculations where does Cleveland see themselves?
Well, they should see themselves as a favorite. You would think.
I think so, too.
They should be the favorite, probably.
I think so, too.
Yeah. We're going to take a shot on the Hawks. I might be crazy and take a shot on the Sixers, but the Cavs are going to be really good. They're going to be really good. Last one here of the notables, and we'll get into some of the other moves in the quick hitter section. D'Angelo Russell signs with the Mavs. Now, Tyson, the contract that I'm seeing reported from sources is 2 years, $11.7 million with the player option for 2026, 2027. Now, you look at this. I don't know if Kyrie Irving's coming back this year. I would be surprised if he plays this year. Anthony Davis just got surgery on his retina. You got some big guys there. Is it enough? I don't know if it's going to be enough to contend in the West. This, to me, feels like we'll get them integrated with this Mavs team. Once Kyrie comes back, we got another guard, and they're going in for 2026, 2027. Now, I could be looking at too far. Everything that suggests that the Mavs thinks that they can win right now, especially when you add Cooper Flagg to the mix. But I don't know. What do you think about this signing? Is it moved the needle enough for you?
Probably not, but like they got to replace Kyrie Irving. Like, and it's not the worst option in the world as far as like getting a guy that's available right now that can replace some of that production. I'm not the biggest D'Angelo Russell fan. I met him once. We were in March Madness, the year Ohio State and VCU played. That viral crossover, and we went to the Nike store, and this dude is just like sprawled out across the stairs, like what's his eye black still on, just didn't move for anybody. And I still don't know if I thought that was like a cool move or if I'm like, I hate this guy. So I have a complicated relationship with D'Angelo Russell, but I think this is going to work. It's funny that Nico defense, and then he wants point guards that won't guard anybody.
That is interesting. Do
you see that clip when Nico called? He's like, I love this. You fit everything we're trying to do. And then D'Angelo Russell said, I like me with the chip on my shoulder. that moved him closer to like I hate this guy kind of territory. I was like, who says that, dude?
D'Angelo's ready to play. That's what he's saying. He's first person guy. D'Angelo's ready to play. All right. Let's get into some quick hitters here, Tyson. Other moves that stand out. Obviously, the historic 7-team deal. Wow, 7 teams got involved in this thing. And I'm looking through it. I'm like, it's Durant and Capella. Like, those were the moves.
It's a bunch of different teams that were just like, hey, this would be funny. It's like if you're making a fantasy trade with your buddies and somebody else is making a trade and you're like, hey, do you want to make this a 4-teamer? These are like 5 separate trades or 3 separate. It's just, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, so we already gave our reaction to the Kevin Durant trade.
But it's a tax implication thing. And that's where the NBA is funny, is like if your collective bargaining agreement and the way the cap is structured is so convoluted that they need to find a way to do a 7-team trade in order for all of them to maintain compliance and find the edges, maybe we need to rework this thing a little bit.
You would think, but I mean, just like how these guys go up in the draft and they have the freaking wrong hat on. It's like, come on, this is insane. We're in 2025. We can't
announce the trade, dude. Just because Shams announced the trade and everyone on Twitter saw the trade doesn't mean that the trade happened yet.
Because it's got to be approved by the league office. What are you talking about? Just like, why is it so complicated?
Adam, just sign the card.
So Desmond Bane to the Magic. We talked about him a little bit. This one happened. This was one of the first notable ones. We didn't give our instant reaction, but we won't dive into it too deeply. Obviously, it's a quick hitter episode. This is our quick hitter section. This is great for the Magic. They need to upgrade. They got one. They got a guy who can score, and that's perfect for them.
Yeah, I think that when I said that we started the show with the Hawks as one of the Eastern Conference teams we're going to place a ticket on, this is who I meant. It was the Orlando Magic, dude. I think this team could be really good. Desmond Bane gives you everything that you needed, and again, it's just like all these picks are involved because you have to get off these contracts. Like this whole thing, this offseason and last offseason has showed us that like some of these general managers overshot kind of what they interpreted this whole tax situation to be.
No doubt. Okay. Interesting one here. Didn't necessarily move the needle a ton, but Cam Whitmore, CJ McCollum, and Kelly Olynyk get shipped to the Washington Wizards. We touched on that a little bit, but not much. And then Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey are going back to the Hornets. And I'll throw in an interesting move there in terms of just Whitmore getting shipped out by the Rockets and CJ McCollum and Olynyk going to the Wizards.
Is Whitmore like how does his career go from here?
It's going to be tough. Well, I would say if this was the past version of the Wizards, where it was like all these young kids are going to go out and play,
he's got to shoot.
I mean, like he has a chance to kind of show what he can do, and then you go to a different team and maybe be a guy, like Brad Beal potentially. Now there's these veterans on there, Tyson. I don't know how much burn he's going to get. I mean, I'm not saying the Wizards are going for it, but it's not like you're just rolling the ball out and Cam Whitmore feels like he can take 20, 25 shots. So I have no clue. Yeah. I have no idea.
I mean, we're cheering for him. We wanted this kid to be good the entire time. It just feels like it's close to the dream being dead, Brad. And I don't want that to happen.
Another interesting one. Colin Sexton goes to the Hornets. Yusuf Nurkic goes to the Jazz. Not a ton there, but I do think it was notable that Colin Sexton was a guy that's been discussed a lot from Utah. They didn't give up or didn't get back a ton when they finally traded him.
This is just one of those trades where you look at it and you're like, okay, the Hornets and the Jazz might be the 2 worst teams in the league, and they just swap guys that aren't going to contribute to them winning games.
Another one here, I think this team's super interesting to watch in the upcoming season is the Detroit Pistons. They just got Duncan Robinson. Not a huge needle mover, but he's a great shooter. Detroit can defend. So I think if you're looking, not like the Heat can't, but Detroit has the length, Detroit has the athleticism that I think Duncan Robinson can be masked a little bit better in Detroit than he was recently with the Heat. So that's something I'm circling that's like, ooh, that's interesting to me.
I agree. I think that this is pretty big time for the Detroit Pistons. Brad, what is Duncan Robinson's career earnings through 2025?
Well, he signed that max or that big extension, right?
So huge deal, like
150,
whatever it was. Yeah. He's at, apparently, according to Spotrac, he's at $73 million right now, and a $3 million or 3-year. What was his contract with the Pistons? 48,
something like that. Yeah, he gets a little sign and trade. Yeah, okay. So what? Roughly 110, 115 million.
Yeah, I mean, good for you. And Duncan Robinson shoot the shit out the ball, but his agent, Kirk Cousins' agent, need to get together, maybe start like a school or something.
Some quick hitters on some offseason signings. I do think this is interesting. So the Rockets were able to re-sign Fred VanVleet. Not a surprise there. But then Dorian Finney-Smith opted out from
This is so funny.
the Lakers, and he goes to the Rockets. What is that interesting to you?
It's just hilarious that Kevin Durant is on the Mind the Game podcast or whatever with Steve Nash and LeBron James, basically like not talking shit about DFS, but talking shit about guys like Dorian Finney-Smith. And then the Rockets are like, take it all. Like, this is what we have to give to free agents. We want you.
I mentioned Clippers re-signed James Harden, and they also signed Brook Lopez, which I thought was interesting. Is this like, are they trying to move off of Visa Zubats? Is Brook Lopez, are they viewing him as more as like a shooting thing? That move, I'm interested to see how that works out together.
Yeah, and minutes played, I think will be a pretty good indicator there early, at least for Brook Lopez, because there was the rumors that was like, he could start multiple places, but he's thinking about just going to play. Dude, he wants to go to Disneyland, Disney World, whatever one is over there. He wants to be around the superheroes. Hopefully, Brook Lopez can play forever, but it's tough for these guys, man.
Guys up north re-signed Jakob Poeltl, which was enough of a move for Tyson to text me.
So much money.
That was a lot of money. It's like I was texting. I was like, God, dude, if I was just 7 foot, I should have just hung on the gym bar, the monkey bars when I was growing up, dude. Just like stretch my back. I willed myself to 7 feet.
Dude, you'd be 5'10" with the longest arms in the world.
Knicks signed Jordan Clarkson. That's really the last of the notables ones here. So the other thing too, Tyson, we're talking about these Eastern Conference teams. The Knicks hire Mike Brown. They should be, and which is like, we already knew they were going to make a good decision.
That was definitely going to happen the whole time.
The Knicks should be viewing themselves as legit to win the East.
Sure.
I mean, you would think. Now, Jordan Clarkson at least is a microwave off the bench. Now, I don't know what factor he's going to play. But, like, the Knicks quietly are sitting there with not a ton going on. They still have a roster that can compete for sure, definitely win the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you would think so. And, they were right there a year ago, and they sure could have used somebody to come in and just fill it up. And I think that's the goal. But it'll be interesting with Mike Brown. I mean, the way that this seems to work is that he comes in somewhere, they win 60 games, they get embarrassed in the second round of the playoffs, and then we move along. He wins Coach of the Year and gets canned. And I like Mike Brown. I think his teams are fun to watch. I think he coaches like a fun style, but it's going to be different, than it was with Tom Thibodeau. Maybe Nickeil Bridges will be happy about that. But I'm personally not looking at the New York Knicks as like a top 2 favorite probably in the East, but I think they're right there, and everybody seems to be so close that anything is on the table. But like, dude, we were having Nickeil Bridges trade rumors. He just gave up like 5 firsts for this dude a summer ago. Like, what is going on?
And I'm not sure if we're going to get the NBA offseason started off so crazy that it felt like we were setting the table for some later moves. And if that happens, Tyson, I'll be here and we'll react into it. I think this is about what we're going to see. It feels like the Celtics make their push to get on a second apron. Felt like the Hawks went for it. The Bucks went for Turner because they sat there. The Knicks went on the edge and kind of got somebody they think they needed. And then on the West, the Lakers got to add the arms race.
Like the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga is like the biggest thing left, probably.
That's a good. I didn't think of that.
That domino is going to fall, and he's going to be back in Golden State, and we're all going to go, of course.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point. And because if he stays, I don't know, man. How much longer is Steve Kerr going to do this too? Is he wait until Curry retires, or what's?
If Jonathan Kuminga signs like a 4-year contract, Steve Kerr's out the door tomorrow.
That's kind of what I was hinting at because it feels like they're butting heads, but
those guys hate each other.
Why? So why isn't I don't understand why they don't move on. Like it feels like you can get a return for him.
Well, I think that's probably the goal, but a sign and trade is never worth as much as we know as a trade in December. Also, like he's a young kid, and they probably still, I can fix him because he wants his shots, and he's like, dude,
right?
I shouldn't have to give the ball to some of these guys you have me giving the ball to. I score 30, and
right.
You understand it from his perspective. But if he was maybe as good as I thought he was coming out, or maybe as good as he views himself, an offer sheet would have been signed by now with somebody.
And he'd be the number 3. It'd be him and Curry.
Yeah,
as the 1-2. You wouldn't have Porzingis running the second unit.
Yeah, and that's kind of the weird thing. But then it's like, is that literally because he refuses to play the kind of basketball that Steve Kerr wants? Like, it's a catch-22 because it's like, if he is, at the seventh man and he can pop off for 20. How good is this guy if he's not playing in the system? Like, what would he do in the system? Or maybe this is just who he is no matter where he goes, and he's never going to follow, what is asked of him. So that's tough. I was a big swing and a miss on old JK by me.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. If he goes somewhere else, then we'll have a more definitive statement. I mean, we just talked about Jalen Green going to the Suns. That was a guy you were high on too. Maybe the second wind is exactly what he needs, and he's going to be playing for your favorite team. So you got to see him at least.
That's crazy. Dude, those guys are like 23 years old.
Dude,
it's like you're buried. This guy's done. His life is over. It's like he just
not even in their physical prime.
Can't even rent a car.
Yeah, dude.
This dude's on his parents' insurance.
All right. NBA early offseason moves that we had to discuss. Like, subscribe, and share the show. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. If you're listening in podcast form, give us a 5-star rating if you haven't already. We got a ton in there, so we do appreciate whoever's done it so far. If you haven't, we'd really love for you to do that, whether it's Apple, Spotify, however you guys listen. Leave a comment, too. That'd be awesome. Subscribe so don't miss a single thing we do. We got a ton of content coming your way. We got a fun one coming up after this. I'm going to talk a little soccer. I got the U.S. banner on if you're watching on YouTube, so I'm going to talk about what's going on, what we got coming up. But share it with a friend, share it with the enemy. You guys know the drill. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.